problem that we're running into right now is that the curriculum is so packed with testing. And the tests are so, they're designed in such a way that all you can do is teach the test. You can't succeed and have passion and teach something outside of it. You've got to teach to this test, you've got to teach to this vocabulary. Because when I'm teaching some child negative numbers, okay, and they come to a problem, everything's now word problems, and they don't know the word descended. A fish descended 5 feet, for instance. I'm not saying it's an official question, but let's say it was. Then suddenly it's no longer a math test, it's a vocabulary test. And that's part of the reason why I'm really glad to be working with National Technology Council so that I can get back to what I love, which is teaching instead of test prep. I was at Cresswell, but I've been at West End for several years. And the way that I got started with this was through a Ladies' Hack Day, because I was raised traditional, which is how I ended up as a teacher, because I probably would have been a Linux administrator otherwise. Love it, love Linux, love Python, love programming. But the Ladies' Hack Day got me started. They did a Mother's Day card, and it was a mind fade, because suddenly I wasn't scared of doing Mother's Day cards my whole life. And so a little bit of HTML, I was scared of Python at that time, but because I went to that, I was invited to Hack National at that time. And I met Yahweh Ye, and I met Jason Myers. And I was the only teacher they knew. They wanted to bring a Young Coders Conference to my school. So they came to school, they pulled me out of the classroom and sat down with my principal. I thought, oh. And then they told me what they were up to, and I trusted both of them and said, yes, let's do this. And of course, my administrator, being the typical administrator, said no. And
I have a friend that's been teaching in the state of Florida for a number of years now, somewhere around 10 years. And during that course, at one time, I don't know if it was the county or the state, city, county, state, that introduced iPhones into the curriculum and told the teacher, I guess, handed them a lesson plan or something, and said, here, you're going to teach these people how to use an iPhone. That doesn't even provide for that.
no, that's typical.
Yeah, that's Davidson County.
We have a textbook that we're supposed to be using online, and the kids don't have one-to-one computers. It says they have one-to-one computers,
Yeah,
but
in fact,
a bunch of ours are broke. So.
They, without specifying or announcing evidently in any way, in any formal way, that's how are these kids going to use the internet? You have internet in the lesson plan. They don't have data plans. How are we going to get to the internet?
That's some of the things that we're working on, which is why the National Technology Council is going to be so important in the equation right now, because they're partnering with all of these different companies to bring tech to underserved populations, like women and our poverty populations. I have children this year that have never had a computer in their home. I have kids that come to me every year, and I just embed technology because I love technology. But every year, 12-year-olds that don't know where the address bar is. It's like not knowing how to tie your shoes. It is the literacy of the 21st century.
You said you didn't have one-to-one computers. I know a lot of computer stores in Nashville, like they had old inventory they tried to get rid of, and they were trying to find schools to come pick it up just so they could donate it, and nobody would call them back.
Yes, because Metro and other school systems have this list of things that they will only accept, but the computers in the schools are 10 years old. It's very strange. Okay, so that's probably what needs to be edited out too.
Well, I make a note here, you need to see the cut and suggest edits before we put it online.
Thank you. But I would be interested, this is the beauty of what I've moved into because of the Ladies' Hack Day, the National Day of Civic Hacking, Yahweh Day. We could eventually get a yes. It took me being persistent and meeting someone at Pie Tennessee, Lindsay Simon, who said you don't have to take no. It's the first time I don't know why it didn't occur to me. I don't have to take no. I just, pulled together the funding, brought it to them. No. I pulled together more funding, and then I said, I'll have it on the last week of school. You all are running videos anyway. If you don't do this, I'm going to put it in my blog. And then I got maybe you could talk to our leadership committee. Okay, let's do that. And I got a yes. So I've learned to be persistent, and I've built a skill set, such as it is. It's very much a patchwork quilt. It is. But, my son is testimony that I'm doing something right, because we're learning this together. So, but yes, I would love to have computers. I would love to get them in the hands of kids that are in poverty. We have to be careful, because if the computers are new enough that they can pawn them or sell them, then it's not very good. We really need older computers for that batch. And it's
They've got
something-
computers they want to get rid of because they're sitting on the shelf and they know no one's going to buy them and they just want to write them off their taxes.
I love that. National Technology Council, please.
I get their
Yeah,
emails all
ours.
the time. I've been a member of them for years.
Swap information.
Well,
If they
then
can
we
scuff
can
up the
help you
case
get
and
out. I wanna
enclosures a
find
little
what
bit to
you
make
need
them
to
look.
make it
Yeah.
more
You
Box them all on the
Yeah.
table. Just get a table that you want to throw away and epoxy all the cases.
I was saying just scuff up the case and enclosure around the actual monitor frame and just, kind of scuff them up, make them look a little bit scuffy, still work fine.
I've got some old CRTs that are taking up room,
Reduce pawn and resell.
and nobody's going to be able to lift them anyway.
Well, I want them to be, they've got to be portable.
Okay.
Because you've got to understand, our children that, 77% of the kids in Metro, in national public schools, are living in poverty. And until you've walked in that situation, it's hard to picture it. We've got children whose mothers are working the second shift. And so I have a little boy who's sleeping through my class every day, and I said, Carly, why are you sleeping through my class every day? Because he was living in a dangerous area, and he was in charge of making sure everybody stayed safe, and he was up until 2 in the morning guarding his house. And so the kind of things that these kids are dealing with,
Yeah.
there has to be pathways out, or they're just going to repeat it. That's why, to me, technology is so dear to my heart, because I believe that if I can give them the skills that you all know, then we can make pathways for these kids so they never have to leave their babies at home while they're working second shift.
What's wrong with Raspberry Pis?
There's nothing wrong with Raspberry Pis
They can be pawned
except,
easily.
well, not that they can be pawned easily. Metro doesn't want Raspberry Pis because they have a certain list of things that they want, and I do not defend them.
Bureaucracy.
I know some people that are on the school board now, or they might have retired since, but one of my favorite English teachers actually went on to the school board. And
Jill Spearing?
No, we're talking about Davidson County?
Yes.
Okay,
We'll talk, we can talk
Yeah.
about it.
I've got
I don't
notes
wanna
here.
put anybody on the spot.
Yeah,
I've got notes here. Amy needs final cut approval before talk goes online. So say whatever you want, and then she'll decide what needs to be edited out.
I don't understand this, the Davidson County School Board has a list of computers that they accept or don't
Yes.
accept.
they have a very limited set of things that they'll accept as donations.
Oh,
Can you-
great
can you get-
computers and stuff like that.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, right.
Actually, I don't think they
Then-
take a Craig, it's not a Dell.
Well, I'm just joking.
Can you submit something for approval?
Oh, you could,
I'll take
yes.
Craig.
But I'm much happier to be working for the National Technology Council full-time so that I don't have to get their approval anymore. I can use a Raspberry Pi lab. The problem with a Raspberry Pi lab with poverty populations, and see, when I got to do the Young Coders Conference, I used a Pi lab. My principal initially told me, you can't do that because our old school can't support the electricity.
But
For a
Yeah.
Raspberry Pi?
Yes, and so I was invited to a Young Coders Conference,
Panels
coded all
available.
day, and then at the end of it, they said, okay, unplug your computer. And I said, what do you
Where?
mean, there's no, they said this is a credit card. And it was amazing, and I realized we can plug these into the lab that they already have freestanding.
Bring in a car
So that's what we
battery
did.
and power everybody around the table at once.
Oh, that's
Then
no
you have,
plugging
you
in
have to
from
have
Raspberry. Yeah,
know-how,
no,
you have to have seen someone do that. I was coming from around nothing.
Right.
But,
Well,
when I was invited to the Young Coders Conference, then I was able to see that this could be plugged into our lab, and that was the last piece that I needed to get him to tip over enough to say yes. And so I got the yes, and they said, yes, you can have a Young Coders Conference here and give away computers. So I did that, but here's the problem. I had a child come to me, and he said, I want to plug this up to my TV at home. I want this to work. I don't have a keyboard. And I said, okay, Damien, I'm gonna go home and see if I can find a keyboard. And the only thing that I had was one of those old purple, really kind of almost frilly keyboards from the Apples. You remember those? Pastel, and I went, oh, you tough boy. He's gonna be mad at me handing this to him. That child took that keyboard like this. You know, oh. And then I had 2 kids come to me and ask me for more, and I couldn't. And so you have to have all these extras in order to get a Raspberry Pi to work in their house. They have to have a cable connected to the TV. They have to have a keyboard. They have to have a mouse. They have to be able to plug into the wall. And they don't have internet at home. So that's why a laptop is a better solution, even though you're going to be exposing them to fast food, which is not ideal. You know, most of the places that have free Wi-Fi, you're looking at, you know, Crystals, McDonald's. It's not great. That's why I'm hoping that Google, you know, Google has some initiatives that they want to bring in internet into these populations. And that's going to be amazing. It's something else I'm going to help with the Technology Council.
I found, I've actually got one on order right now. I can't remember the name of the website, but they will give you free internet or a free phone, and you have up to, I think it's 1 gig for free, and after that they'll charge you, you know, like so many cents for like another meg or whatever. But it's like $30 to get this box, and it plugs in to your laptop. If you want to pay $99, you can get one that will power 10 laptops, or you can pay $30 for the one that only does 8 laptops. So much better deal. You pay $30 up front, and then you get so much a month for free. You can have 8 people connected to it.
I like the idea.
But you
It would be
can pass
something
out
that
the
I can-
literature
I
to the
can
people
definitely share
that
that.
want internet at home,
Mhm.
and they can just order it, have it sent directly to their house. $30, a one-time fee to have internet for their kids.
Would you
and
email that to
cellular.
me?
Yes, I just gotta remember the name of it.
Okay, well, when you do, when you do.
What happened to one laptop per child?
Well, the first
They
laptops
got
they
it.
bought us were netbooks. They're slow as Christmas. They're awful. And so we've got all these broken down laptops that don't work. So we have one-to-one, but, you know, does it really count when it doesn't function? But, yeah, there was an initiative to bring cheap laptops to kids. I don't know why that never caught on here. I don't know the specs on those, so I can't speak to it.
I tried to get one myself, but they wanted me to buy 5 others or 4 others, something
Yeah.
like that, before I could get one for myself. I
Well,
really
look.
wanted 2, one for myself, one to give away to somebody. And I just kind of like, I couldn't afford that.
At first, they had the give one, get one thing,
Mhm.
and though the actual first model of those had a hand crank on it.
Yes.
And the hand crank, you could turn and it would power it, so you didn't have to plug it in anywhere.
Right.
The school system couldn't complain that their electricity was being drained and the power was going up, plus you could say the kids were getting physical education.
Such a simple-
That's your memo to yourself about
Thank you. What was that? I don't trust the Wi-Fi here, but if somebody has like a cellular, if you could look up like free internet, free cell phone, it's one of the ones that's at the top of the search list right now. I think there's an L in it. The website used to be purple, but it's changed, so I can't tell people look for the purple one now.
Right.
Well, go ahead and start that to yourself then. So
I'm
get-
about to.
Yeah, yeah.
But one of the pathways is by reaching teachers like they did with me. You reach, or, you know, parents, that also helps. With a teacher, you're going to get more kids. If you can have things like the Ladies Hack Day, which made it accessible, because I was terrified to walk into that beforehand. That opened the door, and then I was okay to go to the hacks. I didn't feel like I belonged at the first hack, but I was there anyway, and I got so enthused because somebody was building a server out of Raspberry Pis and wiring it out to a solar cell in the parking lot. And I remember seeing that, and it just made me so happy. Suddenly, I just didn't care that I wasn't really supposed to be there. And then, you know, I've been invited to other hacks and National Day of Civic Hacking, and so all of these things opened doors for me. And then I ran into Jason Orendorff. Do you know him? He's with the Mozilla Corporation, and he hosted Click, and he spoke a lot of the language that the districts need in order to open doors for you. He used the word workshop. One of the ways that he was able to get teachers in was he was willing to feed them, but he contacted Metro. We don't get fed. They don't do that with us. They don't give us freebies. But he contacted Metro and he said, we'd like to send out this email and invite all of these teachers. And Metro laughed at him. They said, you're not paying them, you're not giving them any CE credits. He said, we're giving them lunch, but they sent the email anyway. And he ended up with 50 teachers that volunteered to be there.
Does he have your email address?
Oh, yeah, he does. 50 teachers that volunteered to come for this Saturday, and Saturdays are precious. There's so much now to do. We're giving 55 to 60 hours a week to make it work in some of the inner city schools. But they had also 50 programmers to sit beside them while they worked from scratch. And it was amazing. And so one of the ways that you can reach teachers is by having workshops, by using, if you can partner with someone like PET or MNEA and offer CE credits, that would help. But those teachers are only one pathway. There's other pathways to reach kids, and one of them would be the initiatives of the National Technology Council. STEM Scouts is trying to get started here. We're not having a lot of success because they need to find people who are qualified to teach it. 2600, their initiative, we had a packed house today. Many more people came to that workshop than to this, which is fine, you know, but it was amazing. It was an amazing outreach. So there are ways we can reach kids. Of course, most of the kids that are there probably pick it up anyway because their parents are in this community. It's the kids that aren't going to have the exposure that I'd really love for us to figure out how to get to. And it can be done. It's just probably going to have to be outside of the regular classroom. We've got some people that'll do 1 hour code, but 1 hour out of a year is just not the same thing as getting to come to something like this.
You know, one of the things I've been writing about for a couple of years now is that we have to kind of undo some of the damage that was done in previous years in terms of culture. I think we've done that, or we're starting to with both the National 2600 nonprofit and the convention. Next, we need to focus on bringing the sponsors back. Then we can drop or eliminate, would be my preference, the mandatory admission fee. Go back to being a free donation to come again as corporate sponsors and do smaller events throughout the year.
Yes.
We don't, you know, we could get a room like this for a weekend, have it open 24 hours a day, a few people to staff it, rent a hotel room. And I had suggested that almost 2 years ago, and been saying we should do this. I've seen it work with other conventions. I've seen it work in other places. One of our staffers also works for Hypericon. We took it to Hypericon. They acted on the idea, and they were able to pre-fund a lot of their convention expenses and keep attention and buzz going for their sci-fi convention simply by doing regular smaller events throughout the year.
Absolutely. I think that it's a really good idea.
I've got an idea I want to put forward on the table. That would be a mobile teaching unit. We'd have a
There
truck.
is one.
Yeah, and what it would do, tie in with schools and teachers, and you give them name and address and telephone number if they've got that, and then they can go with that mobile truck maybe once a week and teach the kid there how to do computing.
There is a teacher that had written a grant, and she has that. Of course, you know, going to the schools, there's really not time in the curriculum to allow for very much of that. And so, you know, a teacher has to get pretty creative. You have to find
I
ways
don't
to tie
understand
in.
what you said.
Okay. Because of all the testing initiatives,
Yeah.
the curriculum has been narrowed,
Yeah.
and the teaching, professional teaching, has been, they're trying to limit it down so that they can hire some of the type of people who work a regular, like maybe even fast food job, and then they give them a script and they just go over it. The real teaching, real professional teaching is going away as a profession right now. I'm hoping it revives.
When you say hire,
You missed
If
the
not-
part out about the heavy test reliance. I think what he
That's
missed.
the problem,
That's
yeah.
what he missed. You missed her statement about the test
yeah, the
reliance.
deal is if one is a true teacher, you don't have to be hired to teach.
Oh, of
You'll go
course.
out and teach anyways. You'll teach anywhere. So what I'm
Yes,
saying is
and
that
if you're in
mobile
an,
lab, huh?
if you're in an environment where you're not permitted to teach,
Well, that's a
then you
different
go and you
story.
find someplace that you can.
Right, see, but in a case like this, you know, a curriculum for the school, I'm saying, no, that's not part of the curriculum in the school. That's after school.
It would have to be.
No, well,
And
that's
and
the only
then,
way to
and then it
teach,
wouldn't
really.
be partnering with Metro. You probably need to partner with the parks departments.
Yeah.
They do several after-school programs that could be, you could go to some of the community centers.
Metro schools,
Public
bad
libraries.
gig.
Oh, yeah, public libraries would be another good thing. Nashville Public Library has some initiatives right now. They're calling it a makerspace, but it's not because they won't let me come. I'm over 18. I think we need a makerspace for Nashville. That's something that, I don't know if you all know about this. This isn't even part of my speech, but Make Nashville is going to create a makerspace. If you give $100, then you're considered a founder. When they have 40 people, and last time I checked, they had 35. When they have 40 people, they have a donor that's going to match dollar for dollar.
Do they have a
So-
monthly dues or yearly dues as well?
Not
Or-
yet, no. No, it's just you give $100 and you're in.
Do they have a
Make
site?
Nashville. Yes, they do have sites.
No, I mean, do they have a physical location for the makerspace?
No, but I ran into them last weekend at GMX, and I told them about, this has kind of been my bailiwick, Ben West Library, which they're supposed to, they have a land agreement where the guy gave them the land 100 years ago with the agreement that it would always be a library. They're trying to find some way to break that agreement. If it's not a library, it's supposed to revert to the family, but they're looking at ways to get around that and just keep the land. It's several $1 million, of course they are. But it would be a great place for a makerspace. I love
Well,
the building.
makerspace has a library.
You know, a learning
I think
library,
so.
a digital learning library.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
and not just digital, I'm dying to see us
Well, that way you
have
have-
mother-daughter arc welding. That would be amazing.
That would be awesome.
So woodworking, pottery, all of those crafts, in digital, all of it goes together.
Where
You
is
fit
this,
one books.
where is this space physically located?
The Ben West Library is, it's close, it's off of Church. And it's this building that looks very 1960s-ish. It's got these spires that run up on the side of it. And
The white.
Yes, I think there's a Foreign Legion building in front of it. Is that right?
I think so. It's been a while since I've.
So it's close to the Capitol. It would just make my heart sing to see it become a real makerspace. A great city has a great makerspace.
That'll take a lot of tax breaks, corporate government funding too. Part of the reason we're in Murfreesboro again this year, the convention is we're priced out nationally.
Yes.
Property rates have gone up, and the price of doing business in the area has gotten so high. The hotel, Days Inn Stadium, where the convention's been held more times than any other, got completely renovated. The assistant manager there tried everything to get us back in. Would love to have had us. Best deal he could get from the owners was $275 a night for a room. Yeah. And it's just because they're so close to the stadium and everything else has gotten so expensive. Skydog Cot has been priced out of Nashville too, so
You said it 10 something
not enough room. But yeah, to have an open makerspace in downtown Nashville, that's we're gonna have government cooperation with that as well.
And
Since
especially-
we have a brand new administration, so this would be a good time. I started some sort of thing where people can sign up to, and I got a call from the mayor's office. Why have you started this signing campaign? Because they're friends of mine, but at the same time, it's kind of don't do that. So they're gone though. So now Megan Berry's in, so I don't see any reason why we couldn't push. She might very much agree that we need a makerspace, which we do.
One problem I can see in the location, during the last talk, the young guy that did the rapid prototyping built his own small fusion reactor. And if somebody builds that right down the street from the state capitol.
Not hard
All
to do.
they're gonna hear is nuclear and freak
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Well,
And
this
then
is one of the
hackers.
things that you learn from a class.
But
where
then
it is that
civic
you
hackers.
set up parameters and you make them public. No nuclear reactions, everybody will laugh, but at the same time, no, not here.
Everybody comes to
Yeah.
Nashville and make it start.
Because we're gonna make it a successful thing and being that close to the
Well,
Capitol.
yeah, not initially, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think that'd be a great teaching opportunity too. Yeah, hey, let's talk about the difference
This is how you
between
make a
fusion and
start.
vision, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have an objection to it. I just want to also make something that's practical, successful, and sustainable.
Is there a website I can go to that tells me all these places that have needs, like to make their
Not yet, but that's something that as the National Technology Council is pulling together. You can expect that in the next 6 months.
So you just teach math right now?
No, that's what I'm telling you.
Oh.
I left a week ago.
Oh, okay.
You left
National
math?
Technology Council.
Gotcha.
Another alternative, I know the old Hickory Hollow Mall got turned into.
National State.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They use the entire facility, is there any space there? How would a national
with the
state
college
feel about
work.
having a makerspace on site? I don't think the engineering and science people.
I talked to that, sure, I'd have to take care.
Tennessee Tech, instead of people going to Gallatin, they actually have classes at McGavick High School.
Mhm.
McGavick High School has a machine shop.
Oh, yes, but would they let us use it? Because I
It's
had to jump.
possible,
I had to
but-
jump through so many hoops just to be able to use the wood shop at Cone.
What was the objection?
Well, insurance.
Well,
you know,
okay,
that's the
so,
problem.
so my team was 10 to 14-year-olds, and you're talking about a wood shop. But that was what our robot was built on for 2013. It was built on machines from 1952. Every girl learned to use the drill press. Everyone, I had them freak out, no, use these machines. Learn it, you know. But, you know, we had several kids that were using the lathes and the saws, and it was frightening. Their parents had to be there. Their parents had to sign a waiver
about
if
stuff
this
like
child,
this.
yes, if this child cuts off a finger. And, you know, I went over very carefully all those rules, but just being able to get permission to come in there and use that took a lot of hoops and a lot of charm and,
A lot of objections to overcome from.
Always.
just- Yeah.
always. That's why we need a makerspace. We don't need to be,
We don't need a makerspace, we need an army of lawyers.
no, we don't want to play their game.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
time to create a different game.
Yeah, I know that.
It's time to do something different.
You gotta have them on call, it's just.
Have them on
You gotta
call,
have
but
a call.
no,
We're talking about a nonprofit makerspace?
yes.
Something that, okay, then, Center for Nonprofit Management would be something to join. It took 2 years of screaming, but I finally got an actual 2,600 to shell out the $75 to join. And we got our first audit of the books from an actual accountant. Still haven't got the lawyer on the call yet, but I'm working on
I
that.
know a lawyer in Nashville. He's actually also a night court judge and has talked about just moving on to something simpler. So I'll give you some information.
I love that.
You know, computing is, in the legal profession, is getting to be very much accepted. And I'll give you an example. When I was in Shreveport, Louisiana, that county down there, I forget the name of the county now, but I had a friend of mine, Paul Dyer, who was a programmer and started off with NSA years back before they hit the big news stuff. He was really good at it. And what he did is he started the development of taking the juvenile court records, putting them on computers so that not only the records, but the juvenile law on computers at the same time. So that when a juvenile child came into the courtroom, the judge would sit there with a terminal right in front of him and press a few keys, and he'd tell the kid the background of that child and what laws pertain to that particular offense he's charged with. And that's been, as far as I know, that's still being run there. He had to give up on it because it's too much work, and some doctor took over and I think finished the project.
That's one way to intersect children with technology, but not the one that I'm particularly interested in. My special interest is in seeing the kids have pathways. There's 3 roadblocks right now. One of them is a lack of technology, but you all given me some resources and I'm interested in being introduced to other people. And, you know, let's pull some things together and get kids the laptops they need. The second one is that there is a lack of pathways. You know, the things that my children have gotten to do, they've gotten to do because I am able to do this. If I were working 60 hours a week like I was when I was in an inner city school for the last month and a half, it was really eye-opening. There wouldn't have been time. You know, and so there has to be some way to give these kids this opportunity without necessarily having to have mom and dad along. That gets complicated. Which is why we're probably looking at an after-school program. Lack of resources, lack of time, and the other one was, well, we need people to share this information. We need teachers.
That's the website you're talking about, right? they should be able to go to that website and get that information.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So that third thing really should be completed when you do your website.
Yeah, pulling together all those volunteers and getting people who are especially able to manage children. Because it's really is a different skill set. You know, I walked in and Ben was trying to share information and the kids were doing what they did. And I said, you can hear my voice clap once, you can hear my voice clap twice, you're listening to me clap 3 times, everybody's eyes were on me. I know these little tricks from 15 years. I know how to stand, to hold myself so that everybody listens. I know how to make my voice go down, sit down. And suddenly a kid sits down. And, you know, sometimes you have populations that need that, and then you have to gauge, what type of population am I dealing with? Is it one that I have to do that with, or is it one that's going to go home and cry to their mom that I'm so mean if I do that? So, you know, 15 years of experience does weigh in for something. So pulling those resources together. Of course, you know, there are plenty of teachers now that have left the profession. So we just need to figure out how to tap those too. But any other questions for me about bringing technology to underserved populations? Oh, one other thing I wanted to tell you. One of the things that I found when I was working with my little young coders group for that one day, my inner city children had a hard time staying with me and got discouraged. I could see them suffer from imposter syndrome. I could see them want to shut down. I want to leave this way. Well, hang on, we're going to have a snack.
What's imposter syndrome?
It's when they feel, when you feel like you don't belong. You know, you walk into a room and let's say you grew up in poverty. Okay, this happened to me. I grew up, not poverty, but, you know, almost low middle class. You know, we weren't rich by any stretch of the imagination. And then, you know, you get older and you go into a fancy restaurant and you have this momentary feeling of,
Everybody's
oh,
looking at you.
am I going to use the right fork? Do I know what I'm doing? Do I belong here? They know I don't belong here. What are they going to do? And these children are experiencing this, but they don't have what an adult has. We have all these tools in our toolbox to be able to go, okay.
How do you
We'll take a
overcome
deep
that?
breath. Well, the way that you overcome it is you come alongside that child. And so I gave extra support to those students that I saw were struggling. I sent my volunteers, make sure that you pay special attention to Keisha. Keisha's having a hard time. Make sure she's on the right line with us. Tell her she's doing a good job. She needs that today. And then what I do is I gave regular breaks. So we took a snack break.
Snack break.
Then we came back into it. Let's do this. Y'all are doing great. Lots of cheerleading. We took a lunch break. How's it going? I'm so proud of you for hanging in there. Don't leave us yet. If you stick with us, you get a bag of goodies and you get the computer. No, I can't give you the computer. You leave right now. I know you've worked so hard. I wish I could, but we have an agreement. We're going to make it through this day. Okay? And then they come in and I say, okay, we've done this for an hour. You're doing well. You're doing so well. Let's make some throws. Let's do some circuit bending. So regular breaks, no more than an hour at a time. And some of these populations may not even need an all-day thing. And then there has to be an incentive at the end. You make it to here and you get this. Mhm.
How about transportation to the facility?
Well, mine was during the school day at the end of the year when everybody else was, you know, you get to the end of the year, then you could probably bring things into the schools. Yes. So that might be one outlet I didn't think of.
Well, if you're gonna do like that mobile truck, you would need, you may need transportation to the truck sometimes, possibly. For instance, when you have rural kids, you know, if a truck can't go out to a rural area, then it may be best to bring the kid to a truck. And sometimes if you get 1 or 2 kids together at one time, they teach each other.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and it's even better for them.
You know, it's figuring out what, it's finding the kids in those populations that are able to absorb it.
And share
gonna
the
be-
absorption.
That's going to be the part that I'm still puzzling out about. Working with Ben, he's going to help me set up an intranet. So that way, you know, in the last class that I taught this summer, I taught her, they pulled the teacher that could do inner city. Come on, we're going to take you to Murfreesboro and have you do this. And I had kids looking up Nicki Minaj videos and murders and, okay.
For transportation, you could reach out to like cab companies that accept Access Ride, because Access Ride, for some people, TennCare pays for it, sometimes it's not to a doctor's appointment. They just need to go to the store or to the pharmacy, and they actually accept $1.50 from these people for transportation to the store and then back home.
Right, getting mom and dad to give up $1.50.
Well,
And some of the, I'm
You know,
serious.
just
that could be, I mean, but that could be donation based. Some people can help out the
Right.
other kids.
Yes.
And they don't have just sometimes one car, they send like a bus, and sometimes it's a handicap bus, and you can fit 15 people on it.
That would be wonderful.
So, I mean, just reach out to cab companies and ask them, you know, if they're participating in Access Ride, and ask them if they're open to something slightly different.
That's a good idea.
If
I
a
like it.
person can't pay in dollars and cents, they can pay with a receipt, which is a tax deductible to the cab company.
I like that. The kids may not keep up with them, we can keep a list, there's ways to figure it out, but I appreciate it. But the internet idea, intranet, is going to make it a lot easier. I'll have one computer and I'm able to see what everyone else is doing. So I'm working on building that new skill set. It's been funny, it's led, one skill set's led to another, led to another, led to another. But Kimberly will be here later talking about Blockspot, which is another initiative that I'm involved in, which is teaching kids tech specifically related to robotics, Arduino, and things like that. But any other questions for me?
Who are you again, from where?
I'm Amy Flatt. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and I work for the National Technology Council.
And that is part of the,
It is its own thing. It's sort of like the Chamber of Commerce. But they've decided to get into helping underserved populations, getting these skills, because we do not have enough technically savvy people. We have people moving into the area that need technicians, and they're bringing them from out of state,
yeah, I saw
which is
that.
heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, my son just got a master's, and he's got some other courses in the program, and he can't find a good job to fit
Well,
with a master's.
maybe you
in
may need
IT.
to come to Nashville.
Yeah, well, he lives right on the outskirts here in Harrisonville, where he moved from, going in the military. I found it distressing. It's the same situation I ran into. I got a degree in industrial engineering. I couldn't find a job for a couple of years. You know, they just weren't using industrial engineers, and they were getting a lot of them that were coming from Europe or someplace like that. We're willing to work for $15 an hour instead of 10. But it's very distressing. You see, when I see people in high places saying, "Oh, we need to increase the number of engineers we're producing," yeah, what do you do with it? What you got? Right?
Yeah, and that's another thing the council does, is it connects people. So I love that. I love
You know, you may think also, as far as teaching people about computers and programming and things like that, how about getting those kids interested from the viewpoint of a company like, not DEC, but this is,
Dell?
yeah, Dell, out here in Murfreesboro or someplace up north, to bring some kids in there who are pretty smart. Most kids are pretty smart anyways.
That's what I'm finding.
Yeah, and bring
Some of
them
them
in
don't
and
have
let them show them
pathways
what
to
it looks
learn.
like.
Yeah.
To make it a monthly tour of Dell, take 3 students every time, you know? At the end of 1 year, you got 36 students going through the route.
36 students, though, when you're looking at 90,000.
Well, you know, that's a for instance of numbers.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Just
That's,
do that,
you know, you
10
get,
times.
we've got to find a way to reach as many as we can in as little time as we can.
Plugging it about 1,500 times.
No, but my job is to train other teachers and other people. So I can take the things that I've learned about classroom management and tech and share them with a person who's maybe not taught, pair them with a teacher, or someone who has, and then send them out to do these workshops with kids. So my goal is really, my position is not so much going out and doing the workshops as it will be providing training and connecting resources and creating programs and curriculum.
Yesterday, we were talking about the guy that just did the demo on the conference. Sorry.
That's all right.
It's the rapid prototyping.
Oh,
shows.
yes.
Now, he talked about the program he was in school where they took the top 2% of students and sent them on to like a further education in like technology. And I was thinking they should take the top 2% and the bottom 2%,
Yeah, right.
match them up, and so they would have somebody to look up to. It's like These people
Okay,
down here is like, I'm not good at school, I don't know how to do this, I don't know
But
how to
here's,
do
okay,
that.
there's a problem with that.
But-
You'd think that would work, but in studies it doesn't. What happens when you take your top and you match it with your bottom, your top get really frustrated with your bottom, and then they tend to actually make things worse for the bottom.
Well,
When
that's
we
where
pair
this
people up, it's better to pair up a middle with the top and a middle with the bottom. So if you can take a top and have them work with the middle, and then have the middle and have them work with the bottom.
But what do you do with the ones that are at the bottom that belong at the top?
That's
The
what,
ones that
those are the
have
ones I
checked
wanna
out
find.
because
That's-
they're fed up.
That's the ones that, that's it. That's the ones we want so badly to reach. And if you have ideas, I'm open to ideas of figuring out how to find those kids. Those are the ones I want to find.
What I wanted to do with those, the top and bottom that I paired up, the really
Good.
the ones that have achieved a lot and know what they're doing and have plenty of free time because they don't have to study, and the ones that, you know, I just want to go home, I don't want to be here, I'll just play video games with my friends. You put those two together, and Alonka was talking about the Game Slam,
Yes.
where people get together and it's just like, okay, you know, 24 hours, we're gonna build a video game top to bottom.
Those
You
are
get the
brilliant.
kids that's like, I want a game that does this, I want a game, I wanna do this and this and this. You put them together with the people that can make it, and it's like, show me how you did that.
That
You
works
give them
well.
interest, and that brings those kids up to the middle.
Okay, so
They
you're
become
talking,
the middle
what you're
kids.
talking about is skill. You're not necessarily, see, when you said that, you said high, and I was thinking IQ. And when
Yeah,
we
no,
pair our
I'm talking about-
geniuses with our, it's disastrous. They get so
No,
many.
don't trust the IQ chest, because
No.
that's,
Don't trust the IQ test at all.
Like
Well, I don't,
performance.
but you know, there's some things that are just part of education.
You have to have a basic knowledge, skills.
but yeah, the people that are overachieving, the people that are underachieving, you put those together and give them a common interest, like creating the game, and it's like, okay, this is something I want to do. It gets them interested, and when the project's over, they've got something else to reach for. They know that I did this, you know, I needed some help, but now he showed me where to go on YouTube, and I learned this, and I learned that, and they're passing the kids in the middle at this point. And the kids at the middle are like, hey, when can I learn? And by the time somebody else passes them, then the middle kids before, they're like, hey, when? Well, they're on the bottom now, and now it's their turn.
Yes.
He's talking about a mentoring program.
And
is what
then
he's
the
talking.
question is, how do you figure out who's at the bottom? You know, if you're.
Very simple.
You look at
Right
grades,
here.
and you look at teachers.
Let's see.
All teachers know that there's a student in their class. It doesn't have to be the top 2%. You can just hand pick them. It's like, this person got low test scores, but I hear them talking in hallways. I know they're intelligent, but they're not interested in what we're doing. What we have to do is give them an interest and find another student.
So many of them aren't interested in it. It's the way they're-
They're not interested in what? That's
They know
the
they
question.
can't fail, so they don't
It's
have
the
to
way
try.
that they're teaching. It's,
Hate to do this, but I gotta get.
I think that's why we're sitting here, because none of us are interested in the way things are being taught.
We can continue this outside, but, yeah, 2 more minutes later, I don't know.
Oh, really?
Thank
That's
you all
the
so
hour?
much for your time.
Oh, I want to.
We can.